This exhibition is by far the most ambitious and epic one I've ever had the privilege of making. This is the first time I've been able to truly create an installation or an exhibition that has been able to capture all my work in a space that is immersive on the scale that I've dreamed of. And what's amazing is that the team and the curators pushed me to actually be more experimental and adventurous, which is extremely rare. And I'm very excited to see the different reactions.
Jon Rafman ist ein kanadischer Künstler, 1981 geboren in Montreal, der aber seit einiger Zeit schon in Los Angeles lebt und zu den bekanntesten und wegweisenden Künstlern des Internet-Zeitalters gehört.
He has ranged from wandering around online platforms like Second Life and Google Street View to creating worlds of his own. Jon really is a masterful storyteller. I think that's one of the strengths of his work, and he brings these very complex issues socially and technologically into a very clear form through his use of narrative.
Throughout my work, I'm interested in how media, especially the internet, video games, virtual reality, and now artificial intelligence, transforms and also reflects the way in which we see reality, construct our identities, relate to each other as human beings. Both the grotesque and the beautiful, the profane and the sacred, and the virtual and the real, and to me they all have collapsed into each other.
For me, one of the nicest aspects of the exhibition is the amount of detail and the immersive quality. It's very critical, it's very dark, but there's also a lot of celebration of the past popular culture that was made online and a community that doesn't really necessarily exist anymore.
Die Ausstellung ist groß, auf 1100 Quadratmetern. Sie ist sehr bunt. Sie lässt keinen Quadratzentimeter der weißen Museumswände mehr erkennen, wie als ob man durchs Internet läuft. Das ist wirklich eine sehr körperliche Erfahrung.
The works range from 2008 to today. Where we're standing right now is mainstream media, so this is a collection of different videos, some old, some new. Then we have a room dedicated to Dream Journal, which are these more feature-length films. There's also a section dedicated to his 9 Eyes of Google Street View project, which is one of the earliest. And then we have a room of pods. So these are these structures that you essentially enter into them, and he was inspired by these small structures that oftentimes young men would build for themselves to be able to game in isolation.
Ein Raum heißt Abracadabri. Ich erschaffe aus dem Wort.
Before modernity, words actually contained magic. You know, there was an essence to a word. It had a power. In some strange way, that magic of the word has returned, where I can create in this almost magical way.
The server room, which is an installation made to look like a data server. And then the last room is what we've been calling the ruins room. And this is about basically looking back at platforms like Second Life and thinking, okay, this is once very, very populated and now people aren't really using this. What does that mean? And what does a digital ruin look like?
Well, I'm interested in the world around me, and to me now, the idea of a mainstream media no longer exists, at least not nearly in the same way as it did in the 20th century. And so there has been this complete fragmentation and hyper-nichification of culture where you can no longer say there is this mainstream culture as like a reference point in which we all can share as a reference point and like maybe create a counterculture to. And internet folklore is one of the most important things that inspires my storytelling.
A lot of people see artificial intelligence as a great threat. Some people use it in a way that isn't very reflective. And what Jon is, kind of putting forward in this exhibition is to say, hey, why don't we look a little bit closer and think critically about our usage of artificial intelligence? One could sense in the last years how much artificial intelligence was changing society, but it seems to be at a boiling point right now. And it's really important that we create discourse around these issues when they're relevant culturally.
K21 ist das Museum für internationale Gegenwartskunst hier in Düsseldorf. Das heißt für mich auch, dass wir uns mit den Bildwelten der Gegenwart beschäftigen.
In terms of what I want people to take away from this exhibition is to also think critically about their relationship to media, artificial intelligence, television, and think through how that might have impacted their development of how they see themselves.
Die Ausstellung macht besonders, dass sie in einem guten Sinne krass ist, radikal, dass sie vielleicht auch nervig ist. Also sie ist nervös machend, da ist ganz, ganz viel los, aber es bezieht sich eben alles eigentlich so auch auf unsere heutige Zeit.
I think the dichotomy between high and low has collapsed. And for me, it's important to, express the overwhelming experience we have today of just constant bombardment of images and data, which at the same time reflects the increased fragmentation and difficulty in creating meaning.